The golden towers of Valerian Palace shimmered under twin suns. The air was warm, sweet with flower scent. Inside the palace, everything was clean, beautiful, and ancient. Lieutenant Jason Ward, human soldier from Earth, felt out of place. He walked behind a group of alien nobles. His boots echoed on polished crystal floors. His dark uniform stood out in a sea of flowing silver robes and shining jewelry. Jason was here as part of a peace mission. Humans in Valari had signed a friendship treaty only 3 months ago. Show trust. Both sides sent soldiers to each other's capitals. Jason was chosen because he followed orders. Stayed quiet and avoided trouble. He never expected trouble to find him anyway. Lieutenant Ward.
Ow!
A soft voice said behind him. He turned quickly. It was Princess Nalira, the youngest daughter of the Valari Emperor. She had light purple skin, long white hair like silk, and deep teal eyes that sparkled with mischief. Jason stood straight and saluted her. At ease, she giggled, waving a delicate hand. I told you, Jason, you don't need to act like I'm going to turn you into stone. Jason relaxed slightly. It's being respectful, Your Highness. You're always respectful, she said. It's so... boring. Jason opened his mouth, then closed it. What could he say to a royal princess? She grinned. Come. I'm going to show you something special. Not part of the official tour. Jason hesitated. Will I get in trouble? Only if you say no, she winked. 10 minutes later, they entered a quiet, sealed chamber deep beneath the palace. The air was cooler here. Dust danced in the sunlight. Coming through colored glass in the center of the room stood a tall, armored display. It was shaped for a humanoid figure made of gold and black metal, covered in glowing symbols. Jason stared. This, Nalira whispered, is the sacred armor of Terran, worn by the greatest warriors of my bloodline. No one has used it for hundreds of years. It only accepts those of pure royal blood. Jason looked around. I'd be here? Nalira shrugged. My father doesn't let anyone touch it, but... double quotes, her eyes twinkled. Want to see what happens if a human wears it? Jason froze. What? Come on, she grinned. Just for fun. Try it. I want to see it laugh and throw you across the room. Are you serious? Jason asked. Completely. Jason looked at the armor again, stood still, silent, ancient. He took a deep breath. All right. But only for a second. He stepped forward. The moment his hand touched the armor, it moved. The room filled with a low hum. Blue lights lit up across the armor's surface. The display opened like a blooming flower, the pieces floating into the air. Jason tried to back away, but the armor moved too fast. Plates flew toward his body, wrapping around him chest, arms, legs, helmet tall, locking into place in seconds. Hey, wait. Oh, Jason shouted. But the armor didn't stop. The final piece, a glowing circular core, slid into place on his chest. The lights flashed, then silence. Jason stood there. It's completely covered in the armor of ancient Valari warriors. It fit perfectly. Princess Nalira's mouth hung open. That shouldn't happen, she whispered. Jason raised his arms. I didn't do anything. Suddenly, the room's walls lit up. Deep voice echoed from the ceiling. Identity confirmed, it said in ancient Valari. Ancient blood detected, chosen vessel of the first flame activated. A loud alarm sounded through the palace. Oh, Nalira said, taking a step back. That's the royal emergency alarm. What does it mean? Jason asked. It means every priest, guard, and noble is about to rush in here yelling blasphemy. And who broke the holy relic? Jason took a step forward, but the armor's boots locked to the floor. He couldn't move. I'm stuck, he said. Nalira ran to him. I was just joking. I didn't think it would actually work. Heavy footsteps echoed outside the chamber. The great door slammed open. A dozen armored guards marched in, energy, spears raised. Behind them came a tall alien with long golden robes and a glowing staff-high priest-drummer, keeper of the sacred relics. His eyes landed on Jason. His face turned pale. You, he shouted. Why dare you touch the armor of Terran? He is not Valeri. Nalira ran forward. Wait, it was my idea. Silence, child. Drelmer snapped. This is beyond foolishness. This is sacrilege.
Ow.
Jason raised his hands. I didn't mean to. The armor chose him, a calm voice said from behind. It was Emperor Velner, Nalira's father. He stood tall, his face unreadable. Went quiet. The Emperor walked slowly around Jason, studying him. It should not fit him, Velner said softly. No outsider should match the flame, but it did, Nalira said. It called him the chosen vessel. The Emperor looked at Drelmer. Is such a thing possible? The priest shook his head. Impossible. Unless. He looked sharply at Jason. Unless the human carries Valari blood, some long-forgotten strand. Jason blinked. My parents were farmers. The Emperor studied him closely. Must investigate further. Guards take him to the lower vault. Keep the armor sealed. Bring Nalira to her chambers. She will answer for this. No, Nalira shouted. He didn't do anything wrong. I will not argue in front of the court, Velner said. Now go. Jason was pulled away by 2 guards. Nalira was dragged in the other direction. She turned and shouted, I'm sorry, Jason. Jason didn't answer. He was too busy wondering how a joke had just turned his life upside down. Deep underground, Jason sat in a dim cell. Ow. The armor still wouldn't come off. He could feel it moving slightly like it was alive. He spoke softly. Can anyone hear? Me, a voice answered from inside his helmet. Yes, Jason Ward of Earth. I hear you. Jason jumped. Who are you? I am the Flame Core. I was built to protect the royal bloodline. You are now my vessel. Jason frowned. But I'm not Valari. You carry an ancient gene, hidden for 10,000 years. Long ago, your people and the Valari were allies. You are the result of that bond. Jason felt dizzy. Part alien? Yes. And now, you must prepare. For what? For the return of the storm. Jason had no idea what that meant. But he knew one thing. This wasn't a joke anymore. The prison cell was cold and made of dark crystal walls. Jason sat on the hard bench, still trapped inside the sacred armor. Hours had passed since the guards locked him here, but the armor still pulsed gently like it was alive. His mind was racing. He had only touched the armor because the princess dared him. It was meant to be a harmless joke. But now he was sitting in a dungeon. The Emperor was angry. And priests believed he had broken a sacred rule. But the armor had chosen him. Flame Core. Jason whispered again. I hear you, the voice replied from within the armor. Why? Me. Why would this armor bond to a human? You are not just human, the Flame Core said calmly. You carry blood from both worlds. The royal line of Valerian once mixed with humans long ago. You are a rare descendant, the armor recognized. Your DNA. Jason shook his head. I'm just a soldier. I'm not special. You were not trained for greatness, but you were born for it, the voice said. And now, the first flame has awakened. That means danger is coming. Danger. The storm is near. Jason didn't understand, but before he could ask more, the cell door slid open with a quiet hiss. Princess Nalira stood there, her white hair tied back, her face full of guilt. I got you into this, she whispered. Jason stood up. Are you okay? I'm fine. My father shouted for a while, but I convinced him not to punish you yet. She walked closer. He still wants answers. The priests are scared. They think you're some kind of ... omen. Jason gave a short laugh. I just followed a dare. Maybe the ancestors don't believe in jokes, she said. A moment passed in silence. I need to get this armor off, Jason said. Nalira frowned. Have you tried many times? It won't release. She reached out and gently touched the glowing circle on his chest. Her hand glowed softly, and the armor pulsed in response. That's new, Jason said. I think it's responding. To both of us, she whispered. Maybe ... I can help you unlock it. They both jumped as alarms blared again through the palace. Boom. The ground shook. What now? Jason asked. A palace guard ran into view, Your Highness? We're under attack. From who? Nalira asked, shocked. Rebel ships from the Dark Moon? Led by General Corin. Nalira's face went pale. That's my cousin. He was banished for trying to steal the throne. The guard pointed at Jason. The Emperor wants the human to stay locked away. He's too dangerous. Another explosion shook the walls. Dust fell from the ceiling. Jason stepped forward. Let me help. The guard aimed his weapon. You will stay here. Jason raised his hand and energy exploded from his palm, sending the guard flying backward into the wall. Jason stared at his hand. I didn't even try to do that. The armor's voice spoke calmly. Your instincts are awakening. Jason said, that's terrifying. Together, Jason and Nalira ran through the palace halls. More guards joined them, some confused. Others scared of the human wearing ancient armor. Outside the main gates, black ships rained down fire from above. Energy blasts hit the towers, and explosions rocked the courtyards. The palace shields were barely holding. Dozens of rebel soldiers landed on hover platforms. Firing at the royal guards, Jason saw a guard fall, hit by a blast. Instinct took over. He jumped into the fight faster than he thought possible. The armor moved with him. Reading his thoughts, boosting his speed, he raised both arms. Twin energy blades formed at his wrists, glowing bright orange. He slashed through enemy weapons like they were paper. The rebels screamed and backed away. Who is that? One of them shouted. The sacred armor, it's alive. Jason grabbed a rebel and tossed him through the air like a toy. More rebels ran high above. A huge black ship hovered over the palace. A voice echoed through the sky. This is General Corin. I demand the surrender of Valerian, or I will burn this city to ash. Jason looked at Nalira. We need to stop that ship. She nodded. There's a launch pad near the east tower. Follow me. Inside the launch chamber, a sleek silver fighter sat waiting. It was old, but fast and ancient, Valari Starblade. Have you ever flown one of these? She asked. No, Jason said, stepping inside. But the armor might know how. He sat in the pilot's seat. The armor's interface linked with the ship. Symbols appeared across his vision. His hands moved without thinking. The engines roared to life. Hold on, Jason shouted as the fighter blasted into the sky. They flew toward the massive enemy ship. Lasers flashed all around them. The rebel mothership turned its cannons on them. Jason dodged, the armor enhancing his reflexes. He flew straight through a barrage and landed on the side of the mothership. The fighter stuck to the surface like a magnet. Jason opened the hatch and jumped out, standing in the vacuum of space, the armor protecting him completely. He activated his wrist blades and cut through the ship's outer panel. Then he entered. Inside, guards ran at him. He knocked them aside. With glowing punches and energy shields, the armor adapted to every move, almost like it knew the ship already. Jason made his way to the core control room. General. Corin stood there, a tall Valari with dark red skin and cold eyes. You, Corin sneered. You wear armor meant for gods. I didn't ask for it, Jason said. But I'm going to stop you. Corin laughed and raised his weapon. Let's see if your ancestors fight better than mine. It clashed. Corin's sword was strong, but Jason's armor moved faster. Sparks flew. The room shook. Corin hit Jason hard, sending him flying into a wall. But the armor responded. Flame boost engaged. A wave of fire erupted from Jason's body, blasting Corin back. Jason stood. Your rebellion ends here. With a powerful punch, Jason broke Corin's weapon and knocked him unconscious. The battle was over. Jason flew back to the palace with Nalira. The people cheered. Soldiers bowed. The Emperor waited at the gates. Jason stepped out, the armor still glowing. You disobeyed my order, the Emperor said. Jason looked down. I know. You saved this city, the Emperor added. It reminded us of a bond we forgot long ago. Jason said nothing. You are not a thief, the Emperor said. You are a protector, perhaps. The second flame truly has returned. High Priest Drelmer stepped forward. The ancient texts speak of a time when the first flame would awaken again, and a warrior not of this world. I believe that time is now, Nalira smiled. Told you he was special? Jason looked at her surprised. You really believe that? She nodded. I've never seen anything like you. And I don't think the armor has either. Jason sighed. What happens now? The Emperor said. Now we learn who you truly are, and what the flame inside you is meant to face.
At night.
Jason sat on the palace balcony with Nalira. The stars above Valerian were bright and close. He had come here as a quiet soldier. Now he was being called a chosen warrior. Do you regret it? He asked Nalira. What? She said, letting me wear the armor. She laughed softly. At first, yes, but now, I think it was the best mistake I've ever made. Jason looked. At the stars, something deep inside the armor pulsed again. And in the distance, something was watching. The storm was coming. The capital city of Valerian glowed under the morning light, but peace was thin, like fragile glass. In every corner of the city, people whispered one name, Jason Ward. Some called him a miracle, others called him a mistake. But no one could deny what they had seen, how a human soldier wore the sacred armor of Terran, fought off rebel forces, and saved the city in the royal palace. Tension filled every hall. Jason stood beside Princess Nalira in a meeting chamber with high ceilings and glowing crystal walls. Royal advisors, noble lords, and battle priests sat in a circle. Some watched Jason with awe, others with open anger. He is an outsider, one noble shouted. He wears our most sacred relic like a toy, but he saved our world. Another replied, would you rather the palace be in ashes? High Priest Drelmer stood, robes flowing. The armor accepted him. They cannot be ignored. You must ask why. Jason stayed quiet, just listening. Finally, Emperor Velner raised his hand. Let the humans speak. Jason looked around the room. I didn't choose this. The armor came. To me, I didn't ask for it. But now, it's part of me. I don't know what's coming, but something is coming. And I think the armor chose me to stop it. Easy words, growled Lord Crane, a powerful noble. How do we know he won't turn against us next? Because he already had the chance, Nalira said sharply, and he chose to protect us. Drelmer nodded slowly. The first flame is returning. The ancient books say that when darkness rises, a warrior from beyond will light the path. The Emperor stood. Enough. We must prepare. But first, we must learn more about this threat Jason speaks of. The storm. Jason felt the armor pulse at the word. I don't know exactly what it is, but the armor remembers it. Something ancient. Something alive. Velner spoke, and we must find answers. There is only one place where truth still sleeps. Everyone leaned forward. The ruins of Kareth's Hollow. Kareth's Hollow was far from the capital, hidden deep in the icy mountains of Valerian's northern continent. Was an ancient vault older than the palace, older than most cities. Some said it held the blueprints of the first Valari civilization. Jason, Nalira, and a small team flew in a silver hovercraft. Snow covered everything outside. Cold wind howled like ghosts. Jason sat quietly. The armor kept him warm, but something inside it stirred. Are you okay? Nalira asked. He nodded, just thinking. The armor, it's like it remembers this place. Nalira looked out the window. They say Kareth's Hollow holds memories of every ruler. Maybe it holds answers. 2. They landed near a frozen staircase carved into the side of a mountain. The entrance was a black stone gate covered in glowing runes. Jason stepped forward. As he touched the gate, the runes lit up. Identity confirmed. A voice echoed. Why? 2nd. Flame access granted. The gate opened with a deep rumble. Inside, the vault was vast and silent. The walls shimmered with ancient light. Giant statues of armored warriors lined the hallway. Jason's armor glowed in response. Nalira walked. Beside him, these are your ancestors too now. Jason gave a small smile. Strange family. At the center of the chamber was a round platform. Jason stepped onto it. Suddenly, energy flowed into the room. Light formed into shapes. Then into a giant floating map of the galaxy. A deep voice spoke from the walls. Welcome, chosen vessel. The flame remembers. The hologram shifted, showing images from long ago. Valari and humans fighting side by side. Great battles in space. And then darkness. A shadow made of metal and storm. Swarms of black ships covering stars. Jason stared. What is that? The storm? An ancient mind? A living hunger? It destroyed civilizations before you were born, and now it returns. Nalira's eyes widened. How do we stop it? Right. The first flame was built to fight the storm, but one vessel is not enough. You must unite the fires of both bloodlines. The hologram faded. Silence returned. Jason stepped off the platform, heart heavy. Nalira placed a hand on his shoulder. Now we know. The storm is real, and you were born to stop it. Jason nodded. But I can't do it alone. Back at the capital, trouble was waiting. While Jason and Nalira had been away, Lord Crane had taken action. He formed a council of nobles who did not trust the human. They spread fear across the city, saying Jason was a weapon that could turn against them. When Jason returned, half the palace was divided. Some bowed when he passed. Others turned their backs. Emperor Velner called a secret meeting. Jason. Nalira and High Priest Drelmer sat together. The kingdom is shaking, Velner said. If we are to survive the coming storm, we must be one. But right now, we are not. Jason spoke calmly. Then let me prove myself, not with words. With action, Dromer agreed. The people follow strength. Let them see the armor's power used for them, not just in war, but in protection. That night, Jason helped repair damaged buildings, lift heavy transport ships, and even saved a child falling from a tower, all in full view of the people. Soon, the city whispered again, but this time with hope. But Lord Crane would not stop. He had made a secret alliance with Nalira's ex-fiancé, Prince Vaskal, a noble exiled for trying to seize power. Vaskal commanded hidden ships and had spies inside the palace. Together, they planned to steal the armor and end Jason before he grew too powerful. One night, as Jason trained in the royal arena, 3 assassin drones struck from the shadows. Blades of plasma flew at him. Jason dodged, spun, and blasted 2 of them with energy bursts. The third one stabbed him in the side. Nalira screamed from the balcony. Jason fell to his knees, but the armor flared. Core damage detected. Initiating. Self-heal. Liquid light flowed across Jason's body. The wound closed. He stood, and in a burst of fire, he destroyed the last drone. Later, in Nalira's chamber, she helped him rest. I'm fine, Jason said, sitting on her couch. You're not fine, you were stabbed. It healed. That's not the point, she said. They tried to kill you. Jason looked at her. This is what happens when people are afraid of power. Nalira sat beside him. I'm not afraid of your power. He looked at her softly. I know. She hesitated. I think. I was meant to give you that armor, not as a joke. Maybe it was fate. Jason laughed quietly. Well, your joke definitely changed my life. Their eyes met for a moment. Then Nalira stood up quickly, her cheeks warm. I'll inform my father about the attack. Jason watched her leave, wondering if fate had more surprises waiting. Later. That night, Jason stood alone on the palace balcony, looking at the stars. The armor spoke. The storm is near. I feel its echo. Jason nodded. Then it's time to prepare. In the distance, space rippled like water. Dark shape moved. Behind the stars, it was coming. And this time, it wouldn't be a joke. Dark clouds swirled above Valerian skies, though there were no storms in the atmosphere. Not natural ones. It was something deeper. Something ancient. In the throne room, the royal court stood in silence. Hologram floated above the emperors. Throne a recording sent from a distant space station at the edge of the system. It showed a black wave of ships, millions moving together like a shadow swarm. Their shape was wrong, shifting alive. Jason watched with a cold feeling in his stomach. The storm has arrived. High Priest Drelmer's voice trembled. Just like the prophecy. Emperor Velnar stood slowly. Prepare the fleets. Call. All scouts. Contact Earth and the allied systems. If we don't stand together, we fall alone. Jason and Nalira stood on the palace balcony later that day, looking up at the sky. The twin suns were dim, as if they feared what was coming. Jason spoke softly. Are your people ready for war? Nalira shook her head. No one's ready for this kind of war. Jason nodded. But we still have to fight. Nalira turned to him. There's one last thing we haven't tried. Something dangerous. Jason raised an eyebrow. Worse than fighting a galaxy-eating storm. She stepped closer. There's a forgotten protocol hidden inside the armor. A final power. It's locked. The only way to open it, ... is through a bond. Jason frowned. What kind of bond? Our minds must link. Fully. Our thoughts, feelings, memories, shared. If it works, the armor will evolve into something greater. A weapon not seen since the age of the first flame. Jason looked into her eyes. And if it doesn't work, might lose ourselves. Jason took a deep breath. Let's do it. They entered the sacred chamber beneath the palace. The room was round, glowing with quiet energy. At its center stood the ancient bonding platform. Jason stepped onto it. The armor lit up. Nalira walked forward and placed her hands on his shoulders. Her skin glowed gently, and her eyes changed, like light filled them from the inside. Don't be afraid, she whispered. Jason felt warmth spread through him. The armor responded. Bonding link detected, the AI said. Initiating merged flame protocol. Symbols raced across Jason's vision. His heart pounded. He felt something. Strange Nalira's thoughts. Her memories. Her fear as a child. Her laughter when she saw Earth chocolate for the first time. Her pain when her mother died. Her hope when Jason stood by her side, and she felt his thoughts to his lonely nights in space. His childhood on a quiet farm, the guilt from battles. Fought, and the moment he first saw her smile, their minds touched. Not fully merged, but deeply connected. The armor responded with a bright surge of power. Merged core, active. The armor changed. Its color shifted to silver and flame orange. The chest plate reshaped. New wings of energy formed at the back. Jason felt stronger, but also more calm. They had become something more. Not just human, not just Lar, together. Complete outside, alarms blared across the city. Storm fleet entering the system. Voice called from the command tower. Jason and Nalira rushed to the control center. From the windows, they could see dark shapes in the sky. Storm ships moved, like living machines, curved, spiked, and crawling with strange energy. The defense fleets launched from the capital. Human ships arrived through wormholes, followed by allied vessels from other races. Jason stepped into a special launch pod. The armor surrounded him with a glowing cockpit of energy. Nalira joined through the mental link. Ready? She asked. In his thoughts, always, he replied. He shot into the sky like a meteor. Hundreds of ships fought above the planet. The storm swarm moved fast, breaking through lines with ease. Their weapons bent reality shooting beams that made ships vanish. Jason flew through the chaos, deflecting beams with his energy shields. His wrist blades cut through storm drones like butter. The armor's new wings fired bolts of light that destroyed enemy cruisers in seconds. On the command ship, Nalira guided him mentally, helping him dodge, attack, and predict movements. Together, they fought as one. But the storm had a mind of its own. From the largest enemy ship, a signal was sent. A black spear of energy launched toward the capital. Jason flew after it, but it moved too fast. It hit the city's shield and, shattered it. The palace shook. Buildings cracked. Panic spread. Jason dove down, crashing through enemy forces, and landed in the city square. He raised his hands. The armor formed a dome of flame around the palace, blocking more attacks. The people watched him, awed and afraid. Jason shouted, his voice echoing across the square. "Stand together. Fight with me." Valari soldiers, once doubtful, rallied. They fought harder. Civilians helped the wounded. The people of Valerian stopped running and rose in orbit. The main storm ship opened like a flower of death. And from its center, a dark figure emerged. Not a drone, not a machine, a living thing, part metal, part energy. With a mind so ancient it couldn't be understood, the flame core spoke in Jason's mind. That is the voice of the storm, the one who ends stars. Jason felt Nalira's fear, but also her courage. "We can stop it," she said. The armor answered. Merged core, final protocol ready. Jason flew upward, straight toward the storm's center. As he reached the dark figure, he shouted, "For Valerian, for Earth, for all free worlds." He collided with the storm's voice in a burst of pure flame and light. Inside the enemy, the world changed. He wasn't flying anymore. He was standing inside a Minda, dream filled with pain, memories, and broken stars. The storm tried to speak. It showed him visions of fear, loss, emptiness. "You are weak," it said. "You will fall. All things fall." Jason showed it something else. He remembered the child he saved, the princess who laughed, the soldiers who cheered, the bond he shared with Nalira. He showed the storm hope. That was something it could never. Understand? He raised his hands, and the armor exploded with white-hot fire. In space, a ball of fire grew in the sky. It consumed the storm's ship, breaking its core. Storm forces screamed and vanished like dust and wind. Jason fell back to the planet, trailing sparks. He crashed near the palace. Smoke rose around him. Valari soldiers ran to him. "Is he alive?" someone asked. The armor opened and Jason gasped for air. Nalira ran to his side, tears in her eyes. "You're crazy," she said, smiling through tears. "You dared me first," Jason said weakly. She laughed. "And I'm crazy too." The people began to chant, "Flame bearer, flame bearer." Jason sat up slowly, light still glowing from his chest. "The storm is not finished," he said. "But today, we burned back the darkness." Later, Jason stood before the Emperor, surrounded by nobles and priests. Emperor Velnir raised his hand. "Jason, Ward of Earth, you are no longer a guest. You are family. From this day you are a guardian of the flame, protector of Valerian." Nalira smiled proudly beside him. High Priest Drelmer stepped forward. "Your name will be remembered in the stars." Jason looked at them all and simply said, "I'll protect this world, 'cause it's my home now." The city of Valerian was quiet. Ash still floated in the air. Many buildings were damaged, and the shield dome was broken. But the people were alive. They were rebuilding. Most importantly, they had hope. Jason stood on the high walls of the palace, looking over the valley. His armor had changed again. It no longer burned with flame all the time. Instead, it pulsed gently like a sleeping fire waiting to rise. Princess Nalira joined him. She placed her hand on his. "You did it. You saved us." Jason smiled a little. We saved each other. But deep down, Jason knew it wasn't over. In the deepest vault of the Flame Temple, High Priest Relmer and a group of monks studied the old symbols. Strange warnings glowed from the walls. "The voice we saw was only a fragment," the priest whispered. "A herald. The real storm lies beyond the edge of this galaxy. And now it knows we resist." A hidden beacon had been activated during Jason's last battle. It sent a signal far across the stars. Now something vast was coming. 2 weeks later, the sky darkened again. But this time, it wasn't a fleet. It was a rift. A tear in space itself opened near Valerian's sun. Lightning flashed around it. Ships that approached the rift were pulled and vanishing. The leaders of Valerian, Earth, and other allied worlds gathered in a grand war council. Emperor Velnir spoke first. "We must seal the rift before the storm arrives in full force." Earth General leaned forward. "But how? Our best tech can't even touch it." Nalira stepped up beside Jason. "The armor has one last gift, one last path." Jason nodded. "I saw it. When I connected to the voice of the storm, I saw what lies beyond." The room went silent. Jason took a breath. "The heart of the storm, a living core. If we can destroy it, we stop the invasion for good." "Then how do we get there?" asked the Valari captain. Jason looked out the window. "We don't wait for it to come to us. We go to it." The next day, a special fleet was prepared made of the strongest ships from Earth, Valerian, and 3 other alien races. The fleet was named the Last Flame. Jason would lead it, and he wouldn't go alone. Nalira stood beside him in the command ship. She now wore her own version of flame armor, light, fast, and glowing blue. "A gift from the sacred temple. You sure you want to come?" Jason asked. She smirked. "You think I'll let you have all the glory?" The two smiled at each other, but both felt the weight of what was coming. The fleet entered the rift. At once, everything changed. Colors twisted. Space had no shape. Time slowed, then rushed. Voices whispered from nowhere, but Jason's armor glowed brighter. The flame inside kept them steady. "We're close," Jason said. Ahead was the core world of the storm. It wasn't a planet Tit. It was a massive being floating in space like a god. It had no face, no mouth. But they all felt its mind, cold, empty. Endless ships launched weapons, but the core melted them away. Jason turned to Nalira. "Only we can finish this." They stepped into the drop chamber. Together, they launched from the command ship like twin comets. As they flew closer, black creatures rose to stop them, drones, ghosts, broken stars shaped like ships. Jason fought with fire blades and light wings. Nalira danced between enemies, her armor spinning like wind and flame. They reached the surface of the storm core. It was like stepping onto the skin of a nightmare. The core tried to trap them. It showed them illusions of pain, loss, fear. Jason saw Earth burning. Nalira saw her parents dying again, but their bond was strong. Jason took Nalira's hand. "This is not real." She nodded. "Let's show it what is real." The armor flared to its final stage, merged core, final awakening. Jason and Nalira floated above the core, their hands joined. A great light formed between them. The storm screamed not with sound, but with force. The whole space shook. The rift began to close behind them. The flame answered. From Jason and Nalira's joined hearts, a beam of pure hope exploded. Cut through the core's body, reaching deep inside. The being tried to crush them, but it was too late. Its mind broke. Its power cracked. And then, silence. The storm core collapsed into itself, turning into ash and stars. The rift closed. Back on. Valerian. The sky cleared. The stars shined again. People across the galaxy cheered, cried, and danced. The war was over, but there was one problem. Jason and Nalira hadn't returned. For days, search teams looked. Ships scanned the rift. Nothing. The world mourned them. They became legends. 6 months later, a small flame appeared in the royal garden. It was no fire. It was a signal. Suddenly, a beam of golden light crashed into the ground. 2 figures stepped out. Jason, armor scratched but alive. Nalira, glowing softly with cosmic energy. They had survived. Cheers echoed across the city. The Emperor hugged his daughter. "You came back," Jason smiled. "You think fire goes out that easily?" In the weeks that followed, peace returned. The Flame Temple was rebuilt. Bigger than before, Jason and Nalira became symbols of unity between Earth and Valerian, between species and stars. One evening, as the twin suns set, Jason knelt before Nalira in the palace garden. He held a small ring made from core crystal and flame metal. Nalira. Will you keep fighting with me? Not just wars, but life? She laughed and wiped a tear. Of course, Flamehead. They kissed under the stars. Epilogue. 100 years later. Children across the galaxy read the story of Jason and Nalira, the flame-bonded heroes who stopped the storm. Some say their armor still lies in the palace vault, waiting for the next time darkness rises, waiting for someone brave enough to wear the flame.